Most conflicts are obvious. Someone raises their voice, states a grievance, draws a line. But passive aggression works differently. It creates confusion instead of confrontation, leaving you uncertain whether something just happened at all. That ambiguity isn't accidental. It's the psychology of people who've learned to express anger without ever appearing angry. And the emotional logic behind that pattern is more complex than it seems. Passive aggression is the indirect expression of anger, frustration, or resentment. Instead of stating a problem openly, a person may communicate their feelings in subtle, roundabout ways. Unlike direct confrontation, where disagreement is clear and the conflict is out in the open, passive aggression keeps the true message hidden beneath the surface. This behavior is not a one-time outburst or a single rude remark. It is a recurring pattern, often unfolding through small signals that are easy to overlook or misinterpret. The result is a climate of mixed messages. Tension lingers, but the source remains unspoken. Rather than blame or excuse, understanding passive aggression means recognizing how it confuses both the person expressing it and those on the receiving end. The goal is to see it as a psychological pattern, shaped by deeper emotional dynamics, rather than a simple failure of manners. For some people, indirectness is not a mere habit, but a deeply rooted strategy for managing difficult feelings. Fear of conflict often stands at the center. Directly expressing anger or disappointment can feel risky, especially for those who have learned, often early in life, that open disagreement may lead to rejection, punishment, or emotional withdrawal. In these cases, indirect signals offer a way to express frustration without inviting direct confrontation, protecting the person from the threat of open conflict. Resentment can quietly build when someone feels unheard or powerless. If past attempts at honest communication have been ignored or dismissed, the urge to voice concerns fades, replaced by a quieter undercurrent of resistance. This silent pushback is rarely calculated. It grows out of a sense that speaking up will not change anything. Over time, the pressure of unspoken grievances finds its outlet in small acts of non-cooperation or subtle criticism. Insecurity adds another layer. When someone doubts their own worth or fears that disagreement could damage their relationships, even minor conflicts can feel overwhelming. The prospect of being seen as difficult or unlikable makes it tempting to avoid direct statements. Instead, irritation seeps out through sarcasm, withdrawal, or ambiguous gestures, all in an effort to keep relationships intact while still registering distress. Emotional avoidance rounds out this pattern. For many, indirectness is a way to sidestep the discomfort of strong feelings, both their own and others. Rather than risk a painful or embarrassing scene, a person might choose to hint, stall, or retreat, seeking short-term relief from anxiety. Yet this avoidance rarely brings true resolution. The original issues linger, often growing more complicated with time. Historically, psychologists have seen passive aggression as a form of defense, a self-protective maneuver rather than a deliberate attack. Attachment theory and cognitive behavioral models both suggest that these patterns develop when people learn, sometimes from childhood, that direct emotional expression is unsafe or unrewarded. In this light, passive-aggressive behavior is less about malice and more about survival. It is a shield, built from experience, that shapes how a person navigates the tension between their own needs and the risks of open conflict. Sarcasm slips easily into conversation, a joke with a sting, a compliment that lands just a little too sharply. In many social circles, sarcasm is treated as harmless, even witty. Yet, when it becomes a regular response to the same frustrations or disappointments, it turns into a shield for unspoken anger. The message is delivered, but always with a built-in escape route. "I was only kidding." Procrastination works in a similar fashion. A person may agree to a task, then quietly put it off, missing deadlines or delivering just enough to avoid outright refusal. On the surface, nothing seems overtly hostile, but when delays cluster around certain requests or people, the pattern sends a different message, one of resistance masked as forgetfulness or busyness. Subtle insults can be woven into everyday remarks. A backhanded compliment or a pointed observation, delivered with a smile, allows the speaker to wound while maintaining plausible deniability. If challenged, the response is often surprise or feigned innocence, leaving the recipient unsure whether to feel slighted or oversensitive. Silent hostility takes the form of withdrawal, long pauses, monosyllabic answers, or a sudden absence from shared activities. This kind of disengagement shifts the emotional burden onto others, who are left to guess what went wrong and how to fix it. What ties these behaviors together is not any single act, but their repetition around the same themes or triggers. A one-off sarcastic remark or missed deadline might mean little on its own. When the same indirect responses recur in similar situations, the pattern itself becomes the signal. It is this consistency, not the isolated gesture, that reveals passive aggression at work. When passive-aggressive patterns settle into daily life, the effects reach far beyond awkward moments or occasional tension. In close relationships, even minor disagreements can become drawn-out games of emotional hide-and-seek. A simple question about chores or plans is met with vague answers or delayed action, leaving one partner to decode what is truly being communicated. Over time, this uncertainty turns routine tasks, like taking out the trash or paying bills, into silent battlegrounds. The real conflict remains unnamed, but the sense of frustration grows with every ambiguous gesture and unspoken complaint. In these environments, trust begins to erode. When words and actions no longer match, partners are left to guess whether a forgotten errand was an accident or a quiet protest. The mental effort required to interpret each interaction increases, creating a constant undercurrent of doubt. Instead of direct problem-solving, couples may find themselves circling the same issues, unable to resolve disagreements or move forward. The workplace is not immune to these patterns. Indirect resistance, like missed deadlines, half-hearted participation, or subtle foot-dragging, can slow progress without ever surfacing as open conflict. Team members spend extra energy monitoring tone, reading between the lines, or compensating for tasks left undone. Morale suffers as employees wonder whether they are facing genuine obstacles or intentional obstruction. Ambiguous roles and unclear expectations only amplify the problem, making indirectness seem like the safest way to express frustration or dissent. As these habits become normalized, psychological safety fades. People hesitate to speak honestly, fearing subtle retaliation or further confusion. The cost is measured not just in lost productivity, but in the quiet strain on relationships and the steady drain of trust. In both homes and offices, the damage of passive aggression is cumulative, rarely explosive, but deeply corrosive over time. Directness in communication often carries hidden costs, especially when the social environment feels unpredictable or unforgiving. In many workplaces and families, speaking plainly about frustration or disagreement can trigger backlash, embarrassment, or even damage to one's standing. When power differences are pronounced, such as between a manager and employee or a parent and child, the risks of candor multiply. People may worry that voicing concerns will be seen as disrespectful or insubordinate, leading them to choose indirect signals instead. Ambiguous roles and unclear expectations further complicate matters, making it safer to hint at problems than to confront them head-on. Cultural background also shapes these choices. In some societies, open displays of anger are discouraged, and harmony is prized above personal expression. In others, direct feedback is expected and even valued. These social pressures do not excuse indirectness, but they do explain why the cycle of passive aggression persists, even when it leaves everyone feeling misunderstood. Spotting passive-aggressive behavior begins with noticing patterns. When the same indirect responses, like sarcasm, delay, or withdrawal, show up after specific triggers, the repetition itself becomes the signal. A mismatch between words and tone is another cue. Someone says they're fine, but their body language or delivery tells a different story. Over time, these small inconsistencies add up, revealing an emotional reality that isn't being said aloud. Interrupting this cycle calls for a set of practical skills. One approach is to calmly name the pattern you observe. For example, I've noticed we often avoid talking about this topic directly. This isn't about accusation, but about making the invisible visible. Another move is to ask a curious question, such as, is there something about this situation that's bothering you? Genuine curiosity can lower defensiveness and invite honesty. Setting a clear boundary is also effective. For example, if we need to discuss deadlines, let's do it openly so we can both plan. This protects your own needs without escalating the conflict. Using an I statement like, "I feel uneasy when plans change at the last minute," keeps the focus on your experience, not on blame. These tools are drawn from therapy and communication training, but they are not a substitute for professional support when patterns are deeply entrenched. Recognizing passive aggression and responding directly takes practice and self-awareness. Emotional intelligence in this context means clarity and calm, not passivity or avoidance. The goal is to surface what is hidden, making space for more honest and respectful exchanges. Indirect resentment shapes workplaces, families, and friendships every day, often unnoticed. As emotional intelligence becomes crucial in a world built on collaboration, recognizing passive aggression is not just self-awareness, it's a step toward healthier conflict, deeper connection, and genuine honesty. Every relationship depends on that choice. What do you think?